Well gentlemen, I'm drunk. And I feel this is about the only time I can really tell this story. So here it goes. In Afghanistan, Marine Squad leader. On an extended patrol, basically sit out there and watch the surrounding desert, occasionally catch a few guys and placing IEDs. About 01:30, checking up on my guys to make sure they aren't falling asleep/need anything. Get to my last Vic. Guy in the turret says he is watching a group of about 5 guys walking to a compound in the distance on thermals. Grab thermals, get talked onto them, and that's when it gets weird. Technically, they were colder than the surrounding environment. Weird. Keep eyes on since nothing else to do. Entire time they are still heading to this compound in the distance. Get there, they spend about 5 minutes milling around outside, looks like they go to the front gate a few times but hard to see. Don't know how, but they got the gate open then sprint right inside. Hear distant gunshots, call it in. COC says check it out, could be Taliban fucking up the locals. Get everyone up and ready, blackout conditions and move to the compound. Rolling up on the compound, about 500 meters away. See a kid book it out of the compound, runs straight out, happens to be toward us. I say fuck it, flip on the lights. He sees our lights, heads right for us even faster than he did before. Gets to us, starts screaming at us and our terp is flipping shit. Just as he got to us, 8 dudes came out of the compound and started sprinting towards us as well. Still 300 meters away, so we pop a star cluster at them to get them to halt. Still running. 200 meters away, pop another. Kid is still babbling, terp is screaming to shoot. Get on radio, keep COC updated, they hit 100 meters, pen flare goes off. 50 meters, COC says it's my call. They are now in range of our headlights, all of them are covered in blood. I give the go-ahead. Too close to effectively use our .50s and marks, so thank fuck my turret gunners grabbed their saws instead. Whole squad had dismounted by then, Duck was checking the kid. 8 dudes getting lit up by 3 saws and the rest of the squad make dumping with their rifles. Needless to say, didn't take long since we were Marines and we generally don't miss. Check the bodies, all unarmed but drenched in blood, more than could be accounted for with our 5-second one-sided firefight. Call it in, head to check out the compound. Set up a cordon, I take the dismounts and terp up to compound. Terp is screaming to just level the place with an airstrike. Fucking terps, always saying we should use way more than we should. Sometimes they're right. At the gate, not forced open but there was body parts right on the inside, looked like one person got ripped apart. Real nasty, worse than when I saw a chick ripped in half from a mortar. Guns up, clearing the rest of the compound. Everyone inside either has their guts ripped out, arms ripped off, necks torn out or otherwise dismembered and dead. Call in what we found, COC tells me to stand by. Smoke a couple of cigarettes, terp is asking when the airstrike is coming in. COC finally gets back and tells me that a special human exploitation team is coming out to assist. What? We've got a kid who is basically in shock and a whole bunch of dead bodies. Whatever, they want us to wait, we'll wait. COC also says not to go into the compound, could be rigged with IEDs, thanks for the timely intel guys. We wait for about 45 minutes when I get a call from a helo asking us to mark an LZ for them. Alright, don't know why they couldn't just drive out here. Hope we don't have to drive them back to whatever FOB they came from after they're done. Helo shows up, lands, drops off 3 dudes then takes off. Hello Corporal Anon, I'm Major so-and-so, heard you had something interesting for my team? Give him a rundown of events leading up to the shoot order. Did you go inside? Yes sir, we did. We conducted a full search of the compound, found nothing. He gets quiet, goes over to the bodies, uses blue light on his flashlight to check out the bodies. Blue light makes it easier to see fluids like blood and oil at night. He calls his 2 guys over, says a few words and they drop their packs and start changing into MOPP gear. Think rubber suits, rubber boots, rubber gloves and gas masks, if you don't know. Tells me to just wait. More waiting. They go inside, spend 5 minutes and then about 5 to 8 gunshots, real quick, Probably different people shooting simultaneously. Oh shit. Without thinking, I grab a couple of my guys and book it to the compound again, calling out for the major. Oh fuck, if we missed a spider hole or something and got them killed, we are fucked. I'm the first one in through the gate, and just as I got through it, one of the guys steps right in front of me and says everything is fine, they just had a negligent discharge. He also says they found an IED manufacturing room and that we should leave since it isn't safe, and they are doing the same. What? Who the fuck just accidentally shoots off 8 rounds? And we sure as shit didn't miss something as big or important as IED components. They finish up, Hilo comes back and picks them up. We head back to base, get redirected to a larger FOB halfway there. No explanation, just told to go and link up with the captain. Already exhausted, we get there at like 0800. As soon as we called in for permission to enter friendly lines, we get told to wait. Again. 30 minutes of sitting in front of this gate, waiting. Finally get waved through and we are immediately directed to a staging area right on the inside of the wire. Guys are standing in MOPP suits, get told to dismount and shed all our gear. Apparently, the major found evidence of possible chemical weapons in the IED factory, so we need to be scrubbed for exposure. We get shuffled off to some makeshift showers where we strip down, hand off all our gear to dudes in MOPP suits that clean it while we get ourselves a nice freezing cold bleach shower in what amounts to basically a few tarps hung up for a semblance of privacy from the rest of the FOB. After it's all said and done, they had given every last bit of our gear and ourselves a full scrub. We got different vehicles since it would take them longer to do those, plus replacing the crew systems and other electronics in them. A few weeks later we got sent on some convoy up to a major FOB. Get told whole squad has to go to medical to check for any adverse reactions to the exposure from that night. Get our blood drawn, then nothing. Went on a patrol near where the compound was later, nothing left but a crater. All the locals stayed away from it too. And that, my friends, is my story. I can elaborate on why I think shit was not on the level due to minor details. You don't use bleach to clean up chemical weapons, it's for biological stuff only, etc., but there it is. Mostly uncut and from my perspective at the time. Now, I had a very good friend who I'll call Sherlock, because he believed very much in similar philosophies to Sherlock, as in, deductive reasoning, the purity of a priori logic. I've heard him over the radio when he's being shot at and having RPGs fired at him, and he sounded as calm and relaxed as somebody on holiday in an ice cream shop, specifying what flavor they wanted, for example Cucumber Crispo 7-1, I'm under fairly heavy sustained fire, it looks like part of my fuselage just gave way, over. That sort of thing. I'm fairly sure he was slightly autistic, because he'd just wait until base told him to pull out or whatever. He also had no mercy. If he had authorization to fire, he'd light them up. No qualms, no limitations. Anyway, I've seen Sherlock quake like a fucking leaf in the winter wind. It must have been around 3 AM, and there was fuck all to do. I was playing poker against the computer and winning, another friend of mine reading Kant on my bed, when he walked into my room. Pretty unusual, because he always knocked. He delivered some supplies to an outpost about 70 kilometers away from the main base. Not deep in hostile territory, but hostile enough that you'd expect an RPG or two when you supplied them, or took out the wounded, which is mainly what Sherlock did, even volunteering to do it. He'd sat down in the afternoon, and helped unload the supplies, mainly medical, ammunition, and tools, and stuck around taking requests from the CO, who was running low on water and water purification tablets. A few privates were on duty in the dusk, and one of them freaked, saying he could see something through thermals that he couldn't see in person. This piqued Sherlock's curiosity, so he had a look. Sure enough, when he looked through thermals, he could see the shape of a man about 200 m down the path, but looking with binoculars, couldn't see anything, even with night vision. This is quite common in Afghanistan. It's reported uncommonly. Despite being an uncommon event, it's always quite unnerving when it happens, but according to Sherlock, he wasn't unnerved, just his deductive reasoning pricking up. First he thought the thermals were dodgy, so he used another set, then another set. Then he thought the binoculars were bad, So he used another pair, which weren't just thermal imaging, but infrared night vision, rather than the shitty green tinted type. It was a grayscale type, which showed significant detail. Now, on the infrared grayscale he could see it. Apparently it was a human in everything other than having a head. The body was human, perfectly proportioned, but there was no head. Now, the other night vision didn't show this. Sherlock, armed with nothing other than our standard issue Browning high power, and probably just a single magazine, strolled 200 meters down the path, to see if he could see anything. Apparently not, though he said it felt unusually chilly, and he did feel quite uneasy. It was on his way back, when he heard soldiers shouting. Looking behind him, he saw 4 or 5 putrefied bodies shambling after him. He described the smell as rancid and their look as if they had contracted the vilest leprosy. They were moving pretty quickly, and he could see body parts, fingers, hands, even an entire arm, drop off. When he said they were like the Walking Dead, I felt a chill go up my spine, and my friend reading Keque actually looked up at us. Sherlock said he shouted a warning to the bodies, apparently rotting as if dead for a few days, appendages and torsos swollen from the sun, and as they continued to gain ground on him, began opening fire. Despite one of them being hit several times, losing most of its shoulder, and through the stomach, it single-mindedly continued pursuing Sherlock, who, for the first time ever, sprinted away. A rifleman at the outpost shot them with a more high-powered weapon, and re-killed one of them. As soon as one of them went lifeless, the others would single-mindedly stuff their faces full of flesh, just tearing it off limbs and bodies. No shame, no disgust. Like they hadn't eaten for days. At this point, the fellow reading Keque piped up. He'd heard of similar stories in his journeys to outposts. Some American soldiers, badly injured and delirious in the sun, told him how they had seen their brothers in arms set upon by filthy mujahideen, and ripped apart, alive. Limbs ripped from bodies, heads from necks, and how they would rip the flesh off with their long nailed fingers, gouging it out, or bite it off the bones. They had said only fire or high-velocity weapons, not small arms, could stop them. Afghan soldiers, when mortally wounded, prefer to kill themselves than be captured, because they've heard the stories and know the folklore. It is true they kill themselves. I've seen it. I must also admit, as I became more experienced and hardened to the oddness of Afghanistan, I also heard quite a few of these stories myself, to the point where they don't even worry me anymore. I think I even saw a herd of them rampage through a village. But it's Afghanistan, so they could have been tripping on opiates.